Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Dramasology podcast. And in this episode, I am continuing on my review of ABO Desire because honestly, 1 week is not enough to talk about this drama. 1 week is very little time. I think I'm gonna need like the whole year to explain why this is amazing and why I love it so much. But anyways, yeah, in this episode I am covering ABO Desire, which is a currently airing Chinese drama. It's basically an Omega Verse series, and if you don't know what that is, check out my last episode where I talk about what the Omega Verse is and why China being the one to air this drama is nothing short of a miracle. Last week I talked about episode 1 to 3 because that's all that aired, and this week I'm talking about episode 5 and 6. But really just talking about this drama as a whole. And I have to say, props needs to be given to the producers of this, the director, the writer, everybody involved in this, because it takes a lot of effort to try and create something out of nothing, right? And honestly, that's why we're all like into this world, into the world of fiction, into the world of imagination, right? Because the ability to create something from someone's pure thought about it is what allows for this kind of drama to exist. And I am actually very impressed by how good this has turned out so far, because ABO Desire manages to take an idea that's never been done before, not really at least, and really iron out everything. Granted, I mean, this is a well established like genre, so there's a lot of content, there's a lot of novels that have been written about this, but for the producers to be able to take that from the novel and create a world where this exists, I find it to be pretty amazing. And so honestly, I'm enjoying this drama so far. I think that it's great. The actors are all good actors, and again, this actually feels like it's well produced, right? It doesn't feel cheap. And so I am immersed very deeply when I am watching this drama. For those who don't know, ABO Desire basically follows four different guys that are kind of intertwined. The first two are Xiao Yu and Hua Young. Hua Young is this Omega seeming young boy that is being kept kind of, right, by Xiao Yu, who is the CEO of this, multinational or conglomerate of some kind, right? And it seems like a regular story. Like the alpha is the one that is, the dominant one here, is the one that is the chaser, is the one that has all the resources, the capital, is the one that, makes the rules in this relationship. But Young is actually really interesting because he is not just a regular Omega. He's not even an Omega at all, right? He's an Enigma, which is an interesting concept here. And Xiaoyu does not know this about Young, right? And so it's going to be interesting. I think when we finally get to that point where Xiaoyu realizes that he's actually the one that's being chased, he is the prey, not a predator, right? The other two couples, the ones that I'm actually really interested in, is Gao Tu and Shen Wenlang, right? Gao Tu is the only Omega in this, like actual Omega. The other one is pretending to be an Omega, right? And Xiao Yu is like desperately and almost obsessively in love with his boss and his former classmate, right? Someone he went to school with. He's loved him for that long, right? And it's an unrequited love for Shen Wenlang, his boss and the CEO of this company, HS group. And so their dynamic is interesting because it's a lot of miscommunication, right? Shen Wenlang comes across as someone who has no care in the world. He's abrasive, he is sure of himself, he's a typical alpha in a way that I would say is even more typical than Xiao Yu, who has kind of a softer side. And that might just be because we've not seen the softer side of Shen Wenlang. But so far, all the interactions we see are him kind of being irritated by everybody else, right? Kind of seeing everybody else as beneath him, right? Which is factual. He's rich and he's an alpha in a world where alphas are the top of the top, right? So for him, he has no worry about anything, right? And so his relation to Gao Tu is very fraught because Gaotu is an Omega, and Gaotu is also the object of his affection, although he will not probably admit that, right? But you can tell quickly that that's a fact, right? Because there's a scene where he's asking where Gaotu is, and his secretary is like, oh, he took some time off to be with Omega and everything, and he's like, didn't I tell you that you should tell me anything relating to Gaotu? That tells you that for him, Gaotu is kind of important, although he won't admit it, right? And so the dynamic is fraught with miscommunication, ego, and low self-esteem, because Gaotu, I think, in his wildest dreams, in his wildest imagination, is not able to possibly even think that Shen Wenlang would like him, right? And that, I think, stems from the fact that, Shen Wenlang doesn't like Omegas, or claims not to like Omegas, and, he is therefore pretending to be a beta just to be near him, right? Just to be in his like presence, right? And their dynamic is very interesting to me. It reminds me of this Chinese BL drama that I watched back in the day. It used to be on YouTube. It's called Uncontrolled Love, and this was back years ago, right? It's a like low budget, short, toxic drama that was on YouTube. Or I guess I could call it a movie, because it was like a movie format, right? And basically it was the same dynamic there, where you have one character that has kind of just been almost like a lackey to the other character, and the dynamic is just very like subservient, and one is like the master in that kind of way, right? And honestly, it's actually amazing. You guys should check out that that little short movie. It's very toxic, by the way, but it's very, very good. So they've kind of evolved to be this like boss worker kind of dynamic, and I think part of that is because Gaotu cannot like let go of his feelings for Shen Wenlang, right? Although I'm sure it's coming, like there's going to be a breaking point for him. But honestly, when I was watching this, he's easily my favorite character, because I don't know, it's just something about seeing men be pathetic and sad and desperate that, does it for me. So in episode 5, there's a scene where he's, working in this convenience store, and is it 5 or 6? But anyways, he's working in this convenience store, and Shen Wenlang comes up to him and is basically just like hammering him about like why is he doing like 5 jobs. And the way Shen Wenlang speaks is like he cares about Gaotu clearly, but it's like he can't speak normally and with just like care in his voice, and so everything he says just comes off mean and comes off condescending, partly because I think Shen Wenlang is just condescending by nature. That's, I think, how he has just evolved as a person, because he's so like up there and comes from wealth and unconceivable just like privilege, right? So when he's talking to someone that he cares about, even, he is not able to like speak in a way or a tone that shows he cares about them, right? So like some people obviously were able to take this because like whatever, right? So Hwa Young, for example, there are moments where he's talking to Hwa Young and he's just done with Hwa Young, and he expresses that in the way he talks, right? And he's kind of rude about it, right? But because Hwa Young is on the same level as him, right? Hwa Young is just like whatever. Like they understand each other. They have, been friends for a while. So Hwa Young understands how Shen Wenlang might say something but like not mean it really, right? But Gaotu is not like that. Gaotu doesn't know him in that way, or Gaotu has not been privy to that part of Shen Wenlang, or just he doesn't think that Shen Wenlang cares about him. And so when Shen Wenlang is asking these things and saying these things, it comes off very abrasive and rude. And for Gaotu, because he has a low self-esteem and he's going through some like issues with himself and his identity, he takes that really negatively. Granted, Shen Wenlang is saying it negatively, but again, Shen Wenlang is tough outside, but he's, I think, soft inside. He's that kind of character, right? And it's unfortunate because Gaotu can only see the exterior it puts on, and does not see that Shen Wenlang has more affection for him than, it appears he might, right? And so I think when Gaotu sees how Shen Wenlang treats Hwa Young, he thinks that, okay, he doesn't like me, but he's able to like deal with Hwa-young, even though Hwa-young is an Omega, right? And so his own value of himself is low to begin with. And the fact that he had to hide his Omega-ness from Shen Lang just to be near him, to see someone like Hwa-young come in and just like have those rules broken for him, is kind of heartbreaking for him, right? And I feel bad for him, but at the same time I love it because this is the angst I'm talking about. Yes, give me more miscommunication, give me no communication. Like I eat it up. And honestly, I don't know how it's gonna play out. I wish I would still see some scenes where we see Shyamalan caring for him, you know, even though it doesn't like seem like he is. Like, for example, in that scene in the convenience store, he's like, "Stop giving me food," because obviously Shyamalan's family's, foundation is the one that is sponsoring half of his like tuition, and so Gao too, either because of that or because he just likes Sherman Lang, keeps giving him breakfast. And Sherman Lang is like, "I don't need that. You eat it," right? And he's saying that and he sounds mean, but honestly, I swear he's, because he cares, like he actually cares about him. That's why he's saying that, right? So he says all that and he speaks, in a way that is very, somehow, but he does care. And I want to see more of that care. Even though, yeah, Galtu is not picking up on that at all. It's interesting though. I wonder what Sherman Lang thinks about Gaotu, like giving him that food, like in that scene where he talks about like, "Stop giving me breakfast." Like, does he think that, and this is just my assumption, but does he think that Gaotu is giving him that food because he's grateful about the money the foundation is giving to him for his tuition, or something else? Like, that's my assumption, because he seems to like hate anybody like confessing their love for him. So when Gaotu gives him food, does he see it as like, oh, he's thankful? And I that's my assumption, because to an extent that's, I feel like, why Gaotu becomes almost his secretary or his lackey from even when they were like in school, right? It's that part of like, he's beholden to him because Sherman's family's foundation gives him, right? He's beholden to that money coming from that. So I assume that's what Sherman sees. And I feel like, even just as a general like view of how Sherman Lang sees Gaotu, like he likes Gaotu, but I think he thinks that Gaotu only serves him out of necessity and out of gratefulness, because of the fact that they've put him through tough times and they've, been the ones to sponsor him, right? Everything he kind of reacts to is because, I think, in his mind, Gaotu's actions are because of the sponsorship, as opposed to because he likes him as a person. Because I think if he knew that Gaotu had feelings for him, he would definitely act on that, right? But Gaotu is so insecure about himself and his secondary gender as an Omega that he will never like cross that line. And that's unfortunate, because they are both working on a different, like they're on different frequencies about things, even though they should really be on the same. And they both like each other, right? So it's really unfortunate, but I love it. I love when I can tell characters like each other, although like they don't know they like each other, right? And so this is just amazing, and they are what I'm watching for. Regarding Xiaoyu and Hwa-young, I actually feel bad for Xiaoyu, because Hwa-young has planned this thing. He has this thing pat down. Like, I've never seen a more manipulative character that like plays it off so well, because this boy be pretending like he is the weakest in the room. And Xiaoyu is eating it up, and I'm like, you have no idea what's coming for you, right? So it's very interesting to see the dynamic, and it's to the point where, even though like it's very obvious Hwa-young is manipulative, is a black flag at this point, not even a red flag, is a black flag at this point, still I respect him. I respect his also. Like, I can't even say, okay, I'm not watching this because, like, how would you like lie? This boy is about to get an alpha pregnant, and the alpha doesn't even have any idea. Like, and I'm just like, still, this is like level of effort, A+ level effort, right? Like, I can't hate the game. Like, it's just so well done. He's so good at this that I'm like, wow. Like, he needs to be studied. And on that note, I was talking to my brother the other day about the Omega verse, and I was kind of explaining what the Omega verse is because I was so excited about this series. And so, I was yapping and yapping about it, and he was like asking me so many questions about like alpha, omegas, and betas, right? Because that's the only thing I'd mentioned to him at that point. And so, when he had, finished and exhausted all these questions about like alphas and, the dynamics and everything, I dropped the fact that enigmas can get alphas pregnant, and he was like blown away. Actually, the whole of my family, because a lot of them were there, they were blown away because they were like, wait, because apparently in his mind, and this is what I feel like when I see Xiao Yu, like in his mind, he's like, I am the top of the top anyways. Like there's no one above me and everything. And so he sees I think my brother was seeing himself as an alpha in this world. And when I was like, there's an enigma, he was like, wait, what? And so he kind of like just collapsed his worldview. And so it was very funny explaining to people that like actually imagine you're an alpha in this world and they're telling you that there's something that can get you pregnant after being the top of the top. And so it's just hilarious to me when I think about Xiaoyu and the fact that he thinks that enigmas are like a myth because he's got one in his backyard, he's got one in his house, unfortunately for him. So yeah, I wonder how that's gonna play out with them. But honestly, it's so much fun. It's just pure entertainment, like and so I'm just having so much fun. But yeah, that's really all I have for this episode. Again, if you guys are not watching this, what are you doing? Like, what are you watching? I know what you're watching. You're watching Revenge Love, so I can't hate. Honestly, I'm also watching Revenge Love. And I'm loving it as well. So yeah, that's really all I have in this episode. Thank you guys so much for listening. I hope you guys have a lovely rest of your week. Bye.